FLIKO! Alex49 just said, hey Kenny, can you give some tips about beat mix? Do you use a limiter on the master? I'm having some problems with this lately, thank you. The last thing I put on is something on my master chain, personally. The last thing I do is put something on everything else. I try to get everything to a point where I really like it before I start trying to boost something or cover it up, if that makes sense. Because I feel like a master chain can kind of help glue things together, it can help make things louder, it can help kind of really pull apart your song at the same time if things aren't in the right order. If you don't have a good balance already with your mix, and if you have a lot of EQ problems and you have a lot of stuff that's kind of like not really apparent, and then you put a limiter on your master, it's going to be very, very, very obvious. It's like, what's wrong? So for me, let's say you guys have seen how I work. Like, I'll make a beat, or I'll make an instrumental, or I'll record something, then I'll put it into, like, I'll make an MP3 of it or a wave, I'll put it into my vocal template, I'll record vocals on top of that, and then usually I'll put a master chain, bounce that, that's the demo. So the beat, the instrumental, has nothing on the master. 99% of the time with me, there's nothing on the master of the instrumentals I'm making, the beats I'm making before a vocal gets on it, unless it's hardware. So like I might run something through this EQ right here that's next to me, or like this compressor next to me, or like something, one of these things in front of me. I might run the whole beat through something like that, but only once in a while. For some people, they just have their master chain, they know what they want to sound like, and they mix into it and they work into it. That's fine. You know what I mean? That's completely valid. There's a lot of people I know who do that and get even better mixes than me. But the way I've always found it is that if I can get something to a really, 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 really good balance and then make it louder, then boost it, limit it, whatever, usually it works out better at the end of the day. Usually I like how that sounds better in my car or when I play it for somebody else, or artists seem to like it better whenever I do it that way, and that's what I've kind of learned, so that's why I do it like that. But I don't know, some people, like, I'll record certain artists I work with, only friends but certain friends of mine, like I've recorded certain people so many times that I'll record them on a beat if it's, I know the producer really well and I know them really well, sure, no issue doing vocal production, no issue doing all that. I don't need to like add a secondary snare to feel like I'm a part of the thing. So in recording people, sometimes I'll get beats from other producers that artists I work with are going to record, and I see stuff from all types of producers, and they're loud as sometimes, and sometimes they're not. And I don't know if it always matters. I'm sure there's certain rooms or certain studios you go to, and like if you don't already put a master chain on your beat, it just doesn't hit. Or you know a certain artist doesn't listen to stuff really loud, or they're just going to listen to it on their phone, so you want it to be maxed out. That makes sense. But like personally, my beats are never something where I put a ton of mastering on them or try to make them super loud, because I assume best case scenario, someone's going to play them on speakers that are big, or someone's going to play them somewhere that they can listen to it loud and they can turn the volume up, or they're going to record on it if they really like it. And I don't want it to be like so mastered and so limited and stuff that whenever they record on it, it's hard to make their vocal fit with the beat and this and that. I've had that problem so many times. So I usually send stuff the best balance I can, as loud as I can. And I use this thing in every day of my life. Anything I play through my computer goes through that. And so that means I can see exactly how loud something is. This is true zero. These are LUFs. This is true volume. I'm basically at true zero. So the idea would be get the beat as close to true zero on that meter or on any loudness meter as you can. And then once it's there, you can always turn it down 8 decibels, 10 decibels, and then put some mastering stuff on it, whatever. But that thing is always in front of me. And so I kind of realize when I finish a beat, or I finish like mixing a vocal on top of a beat, when I've recorded somebody, I start to like see how loud I can get everything without limiting, without mastering. I don't master the beats, but I can get them very, very, very loud. And then I'll take that beat, record a vocal on it, and then master the whole thing. Someone said, what was the hardware called? That thing is called, you mean the meter? That meter is called a TC Electronic Clarity M. Someone said, random question. What separates the Clarity M from VST plugin meters like loudness meter? The only thing that separates having something like this on my desk rather than having a loudness meter plugin is I don't ever have to pull this up. I don't ever have to close a synth or close another window on my computer to look at this. It's always on my desk. It's always working. It's always visible. And every single thing that comes out of my interface, so basically anything you hear in my studio goes through that meter. So when I'm listening to other people's beats, other people's music, other stuff on my computer, I can see every single thing going through that. So I can see the loudness on other people's stuff, on other music that's out there. I can see the phase meter. I can see so much information about everything I'm listening to. You can still do that with a plugin. It's the same concept. If you have a phase meter, if you have a LUF meter, if you have any kind of loudness plugin or phase plugin, whatever, you can still see all these things, but you have to pull it up. You have to pull that window up. And if you're looking at something else, you can't look at both at the same time. I can be playing a synth, also have like a YouTube video open, and then be looking at this and seeing like what's going on with like my EQ. You know what I mean? I don't have to pull up an EQ to see the EQ of something. I can just be playing guitar and be looking at that meter. And if my guitar is going through my interface, which it always is, then I can see how much high end's in the guitar, how much low end's in it. Because there's a couple settings. Like you can see the EQ curve of anything you're putting in there. And this is always in front of me. So at all times, I can see like what's going on with my high end, what's going on with my low end, what's going on with blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Aesthetica said, for those that can't afford the Clarity M, I want to give a shout out to Mini Meters, which is like $10 that does a very similar function. You can put it on your master and open it as a separate app. Just something that's helped me out. Shout out to Aesthetica. $10, you can get the same meter. Very, very, very helpful. Very helpful.
Yo. Bad boy on the net, seem like a stretch to me. Said it's done trying to push man's buttons, but seem like they press to me. How many times did they come out online, seem like they need rest to me. Thought she was giving you eyes, why? Cause you stood next to me. No days off, best believe. Broken stocks and...
Shut the f*** up.